Those vegan guys. Thank you.
Hiya, I'm Paul and I'm one of those vegan guys, and if you haven't been to our channel before and seen any of our videos, I tend to ramble sometimes in kitchen vlogs, but this is a specific kitchen vlog I wanted to do today, to chat to non-vegans in a non-confrontational, non-aggressive way, which is, I know, what people expect, even though that's not the case. Usually it's people judge how something was said to them based on their reaction to it, rather than the quantity or quality of the information itself. We base our feelings about it on how we've reacted to it, and that's a natural thing. When you are confronted with information that goes against information you hold as fact, it is a natural reaction to defend ourselves and to cling on to those reasons and answers that we already hold. And I know that because even though I'm now a 7-year vegan, before that I was a vegetarian, and whenever people would raise the prospect of veganism to me, or ask me, or just ask me to look into the truth behind the dairy industry or the egg industry, I got defensive, and I just wanted them to shut up and leave me alone, because I wasn't eating meat, I wasn't eating animals, and I was blissfully unaware of my contribution by supporting the dairy and the egg industry. And I did, I got defensive, but my eggs are happy eggs, and blah blah blah. We all do that. It is a natural thing. And so for the purposes of this vlog, if you're courteous enough to sit there and listen to me waffle for a short while, I ask you to be aware of that within yourself. When I talk, there may be things I say that get you riled up and make you just want to click dislike and stop watching the vlog. I ask you not to, just for a short while, allow yourself to feel whatever you feel when I say whatever I'm going to say. And one of the first things I suppose is to ask you, would you ever willingly hurt an animal? I'm just giving you a minute to have a little think about that. Would you ever willingly hurt an animal that was doing you no harm and didn't intend to do you any harm? You probably wouldn't, right? Because honestly speaking, most people who would say yes they would to that answer, science would tell you have some psychotic tendencies. Wanting to hurt an animal for no reason at all is a psychotic flag. So you wouldn't ever want to hurt an animal. But in your purchasing of animal products, you are actually paying someone else to be cruel to animals for you. Ride that feeling just for a minute. You didn't know, or maybe you didn't know, or maybe you don't want to believe, but none of those are good enough reason to ignore the facts. Not wanting to believe doesn't make something untrue. And the facts of the matter are, and I will only touch on this briefly because if something in you is piqued, if you want to research something further, Google is incredible. The truth about the egg industry, the truth about the dairy industry. And you can see videos and studies and reports and analysis for yourself. I don't want to tell you what to watch, read, look at or listen to. But I want you to ask yourself the question, for example, how does a cow produce milk? Well, why does any living thing on earth produce milk? It is a natural process of pregnancy and childbirth. And that's why cows produce milk, because they are made to be pregnant forcefully. It isn't a natural process in a field. It's usually an arm up the anus to stimulate the vagina, to inject a bit of bull semen that was masturbated from a bull. Those are the facts. And a cow carries for 9 months, much like a human. And then within a very short period, usually no more than 48 hours, often immediately, the calf is taken away and the machine is put on the udder, breast. And that's just the dairy industry. And veal, which is young calf flesh, is a direct result of the dairy industry. It's a byproduct, a very lucrative byproduct of the dairy industry. And much the same with eggs. What is deemed to be a decent amount of space for a chicken to live is no more than most of you would put a hamster or a mouse in. And free range chickens are actually oftentimes uncaged, but thousands of them just in a barn. It doesn't mean out in a field, it just means not caged. And so again, an extremely cruel industry where chickens are made to lay eggs until they're not able to anymore, or until their production goes down to the point where it's no longer viable to keep them in the mouse cage. And then they are turned into pet food, sold off for meat, or if they're very lucky, sometimes they're offered out to kind people who keep backyard hens. Now, as a vegan, I don't agree with eating the eggs from backyard hens, because a chicken loses a hell of a lot of calcium to lay one egg, and if you cook the egg and give it back to the chicken, she'll eat it and she'll replace her calcium. And I think that they deserve just a nice life as backyard hens, but I'm not here to judge you about that. I'm just here to share some information with you and to ask you some questions. So we've already established that you wouldn't willingly hurt an animal, and unfortunately we've established the facts that in your purchases of animal produce, you are paying for someone else to hurt an animal. And that would be the main reason that many, if not most, vegans are vegan, for the animals. It just so happens that with a much smaller animal agriculture on this, our gorgeous planet Earth, that would have a massive effect on climate change too, because animal agriculture, well, if you can imagine, there are, is it nearly 8 billion people on Earth now? Quite a lot of us. There's at least 10 times that just in farmed animals. Forget the wild for a minute. Just in farmed animals. There are estimates that anywhere between 56 and 80 billion land animals are slaughtered every year on Earth. Now they've had to be raised, whether they're raised to 3 months or 6 months or a year, and they've eaten and drunk thousands upon thousands of litres of water, pounds and pounds and kilograms and tons of soy. Over 90% of the soy grown on Earth is fed to cattle, to animals, to fatten them up for human consumption. And of course, let's not forget how much of the Amazon rainforests are being cut down to grow that soy to feed to cows so that they can produce methane and help destroy the climate, then be brutally killed against their will to be put on your plate. And because you miss out all that process, it's all too convenient, isn't it, to go to the supermarket and buy a slab of meat without ever considering that that meat was a living creature's leg or back or shoulder or neck or face. Sausages and burgers. And with the abundance, the absolute beautiful abundance of vegan foods available these days, and with a clear statement from the British Dietetic Association, the BDA, and that I will link down there in the description and in the first comment, statement categorically saying that a vegan diet is healthy for people of all ages. A well-planned vegan diet. Because of course we have to be careful and make sure we're eating the right things, but everybody does, you know. If you're not eating enough vegetables, you're not doing yourself any good, whether you be a meat eater, a vegetarian, a pescatarian or a vegan. Let's go over the difference, by the way. A vegetarian doesn't eat any meat or fish but will eat dairy. A pescatarian doesn't eat any meat but will eat fish. So it doesn't eat any land animals but will eat fish and dairy. A vegan, as far as is practicable and possible, does not consume, buy or use anything that has caused or contributed to an animal's suffering. So that means not buying products, toiletries. It's like we've got Astonish method, you know, blah 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 blah. It's being careful what you buy there. It's being careful what you buy. Personal products, Superdrug, it's completely amazing. Brand new makeup range at Wilko, from £1 to £10, all vegan and cruelty free. Fabulous. It can be a little bit daunting at first. Of course it can. I mean, it's like anything. It's like, oh God, you go in the supermarket and all you see at first is everything you can't have anymore, you know. But then you find the vegan section and you find sausages and burgers and pies and mince and chicken style Kievs and bacon and all of these things that are made from plants, because when all's said and done, all of these flavours that are put into fleshes and seasoned, it's all seasonings and spices and flavourings that makes things taste, you know, as good as they do. But that leads us back to another question, and this is the crux of the matter: is your taste more important than the life of an animal that doesn't want to die, that was forced to be alive, maybe abused and hurt, had its baby taken away, doesn't want to die? Is your taste, I prefer this, more important than that? And again, if you answer yeah, I have to ask you to really analyse that about yourself, because if the life, the pain and suffering, the preventable pain and suffering of another sentient being is less important to you than a taste that stays in your mouth for 30 seconds, that's giving yourself a little bit too much self-importance. Now, I have done a couple of videos on this kind of theme before. I did a very angry one because I was mad, and I'll link that up there. I have to leave my arm like this for a second so I know when I'm editing. That's the point. To do it. And then, because of some of the reactions to that video, I did another one titled something along the lines of, if I say it gentler, will you hear it better? And I'll link that one up there too. Don't need to leave my arm there now because I know it's not long after the first one. So if you are here because you're not vegan yet, are you willing to give it a shot? Do you think you might be willing to try it? It doesn't mean you have to throw everything away. You know, I, as a drag queen who'd stockpiled on makeup, used non-vegan makeup for a few years as a vegan. I used makeup way beyond its use by date, until it was gone. So it's, you know, transitionary periods are exactly that. As long as you're headed in a certain direction, then you're already on your way there. And I have put together a little book called Down to Earth Vegan, which is kind of a guide for those who are considering going vegan and want to look into it more. And it's full, the first section is full of links to documentaries and all that kind of thing. And there are lots of tips and tricks in there. There are loads of recipes, and it is completely free. And it's on our website, thoseveganguys.com. Again, I will put the link down there in the description and in the first comment if you would like to download that and have a look at it, maybe share it with your friends and family. We're in the middle of a pandemic right now, and it's a pandemic caused by humans' interference with animals. We can point fingers at locations in the world or nationalities or the difference in what we want, but to us vegans it boils down to the same thing. It's humans abusing animals has led to this pandemic we're in right now, and it isn't the first time. The SARS and MERS and H1N1 all transmitted, they're what's called zoonotic diseases passed from animals to human. We human beings do a lot more damage to the earth through animal agriculture than is ever acknowledged or talked about, although even Sir David Attenborough himself, just recently after his extinction series, has said move to help the earth move towards a plant-based diet. And do you know what, you'll not miss out. It's incredible what there is available these days in every single supermarket, but the produce section as well. You know, it's funny how we've been so programmed, even as vegans. Sometimes I'm like, there needs to be an alternative. I need some sausages or something. And it was only a couple of weeks ago, me and my husband sat down to just a massive plate of steamed vegetables and a thick onion gravy and a couple of slices of bread and butter, and it was bloody gorgeous. But even before I made it, I was like, oh, I need something to go with that pie or something, you know. And I know that's often the same thing with non-vegans, is that feeling like a meal isn't complete without this or that. Just don't forget where this or that came from, and ask yourself, are you happy to pay into that? Are you happy to pay for that to happen on your behalf, knowing that it's contributing to climate change, incredible abuse and cruelty, and rainforest destruction, and the depletion of water? Tough questions to ask yourself. I'm fully aware of that. I really am. Yeah. Just have a sip of my coffee. So, I hope that wasn't too confrontational. It's just sometimes, as a vegan, in what's about to be probably a major second wave of a zoonotic virus pandemic, looking around, even on YouTube, there are some people, me and my hubby love on YouTube, we love to watch them, but they're not vegans, and so every time it comes to grilling a steak in the woods whilst I camp out and stuff, we're like, oh, really? It's the promotion of the promotion of flesh eating on YouTube is vast, from people who seem to be like wonderful humans, and probably are, but have never asked themselves the questions: would I willingly hurt an animal? Am I happy to pay someone else to do it for me? Anyway, there you go. That's this one. I know I realise that this is mainly specifically aimed at non-vegans, and so to our regulars on the channel, my apologies. I needed to get this out of my system. It is a form of activism. Although activism is talking to your friends about delicious recipes you've tried, encouraging them to try it, it doesn't mean having to stand outside a slaughterhouse. All the admiration in the world for people who do that, and cubes of truth. I'm just seeing in the vegan community at the moment that is kind of coming back, that if you're not doing this, you're not an activist. Back it off. Gentle activism, like a bloody 80s commercial. Any road, I'm done. Thank you so much for listening. Stick around, subscribe, thumbs up if you enjoyed it. There's loads more, there's loads of recipes. Don't forget the free book. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Until then, please be excellent to yourself and each other. Almost finished a coffee. It's a thing of mine.